what are the 4 things? What are the most significant things, the skills that we need to get good at to be able to negotiate well?
Well, you got to focus on the people. We're human beings. We're negotiating with human beings. You got to focus on their interests, their underlying needs. You've got to be creative, come up with creative options to address the needs of all. And then fairness, objective criteria. How do you resolve issues which can't be resolved easily?
All right, let's talk about that first one. Let's unpack each one of those a little more deeply. The first one about people, separating the people from the problem. Talk about that.
The 2 most maybe common mistakes we make around this is that person's really important. It's a key customer, a key congregation member. We end up being soft on the people, and in being soft on the people, we end up being soft on the problem. We end up not solving the problem at all. Or we make the opposite mistake. We think this has got a real hard problem. We got to cut costs here. We're hard on the problem, we end up being hard on the person. And the people get in the way of dealing with the problem. What you find successful negotiators doing is they almost like they draw a line in the middle of their head between the people and the problem, so that simultaneously they can be soft on the people while they remain very hard in dealing with the problem. In fact, the harder you need to deal with that problem, the softer you're going to need in dealing with the people, if the people, their emotions, their egos, their personalities are not going to get in the way of dealing with that problem. Yeah. Soft on the people means listening. I mean, there's a reason why, God gives us 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's to listen at least twice as much as we talk. It's to put ourselves in the shoes of the other side. I mean, if someone were to say, what's the most important skill you need here? It may be that ability to put ourselves in the shoes of the other side, understand how they feel, understand what it's like to be in their shoes. Because after all, negotiation is an exercise in influence. You're trying to change someone's mind. How could you possibly change someone's mind unless you know where that mind is? And respect. The ability to show respect, which you often do by listening, to me is totally undervalued. The cheapest concession you can make in a negotiation is to give someone basic human respect, to listen to them. Because it costs you nothing and it means everything to them.
Right. I remember resonating with that so much when I read that book some years ago, because as believers, as Christians, one of the fruit of the Spirit is kindness. You don't want to be unkind to people, and so we struggle with, being soft on the person, and then that also making us be soft on the issue. And when you separated that out, I can be kind to the person and viciously hard on attacking the problem, and I'm not being unkind to the person. It really resonated with me. It's changed a lot of my conversations and negotiations with people along the way.
That's it, because essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to change the game from face-to-face confrontation, where you're enemies kind of staring across the table at each other, to you're both metaphorically, maybe literally on the same side of the table, side by side, tackling the problem together. But there's no reason not to be side by side and addressing the problem at the same time.
Right. No. Okay, the second one, focusing on interests, not positions. Unpack that one.
Sure. Most negotiations, they revolve around positions, the things we say we want, the dollars and cents, the terms and conditions, the concrete things. But actually, what you're trying to do in a negotiation is address the underlying interests, the underlying needs or desires or concerns or fears or aspirations that people have. And the key in negotiation is always to probe behind the positions for what the underlying interests are. Because too often we end up with negotiations like the proverbial, 2 kids who get into a quarrel about the orange. They each want the orange, and so, okay, fine, we'll cut the orange in half. And one child takes her half and peels the fruit and peels the orange and eats the fruit. The other one takes her half, peels it, throws away the fruit, and uses the half a peel for baking a cake. In other words, we end up with a half a peel for one and a half a fruit for the other, when if we had thought about what the underlying interests were, which were cooking and eating, we could have ended up with a whole peel for one and a whole fruit for the other. And so the key in negotiation is to always ask the question, why? Why is it you want that? Behind that position, help me understand what your needs are. That's what successful negotiation's about.